How's it going, guys? Randall aka Shizukatz here on the Tressa's Collectibles channel to bring you our waifu deck overview for the Quintessential Quintuplets movie set. This third set of Quints has brought some extremely powerful cards that highly incentivize running waifu decks, and to be completely honest, they might have gone a bit overboard on some of these cards. The waifu decks we have for you guys this time around are some of the most powerful waifu decks that Weiss Schwarz has ever seen, with certain ability profiles far surpassing what you would see in other normal decks. If you've been looking for an opportunity to represent your favorite of the 5 quintuplets, now is the perfect opportunity. Let's get started. Just as we always do, we'll be taking a look at each of the 5 quintuplets one by one in numerical order, so let's start with the Ichika deck. This build was popularized in Japan after a fantastic performance at WGP, and highlights the power of the new Ichika early play. This card gives easy access to climaxes through her on-play ability, allowing you to consistently use your mid and late game climax combos while potentially getting a +1 as well. As you've probably noticed, this deck runs 3 different climax combos, since the early play lets you easily obtain the one you need. Let's take a look at each of them. At level 1, we're running the Set 2 level 1 combo, which can salvage characters from waiting room without interacting with the opponent, and also has Twin Drive for paying out climaxes on the fly. Since the Twin Drive gives us many chances to trigger choice climaxes, we have many opportunities to pick up the important pieces for our mid game, on top of the climax combo's salvage itself. Going into level 2, we look to play the Ichika early play combo from set 2. This can be early played if you have the level 0 Ichika center runner in your clock, which can be obtained via the level 1 combo. When she's attacked, you can pay 1 to check the top 2 cards of your deck and send any of them to the waiting room, which is amazing for maximizing cancels and staying at level 2. The Climax combo lets you grab 2 characters from your deck on attack. One of them gets added to your hand, and the other is sent to stock. You can search for cards like the aforementioned Climax Salvage early play to try to use this Climax combo repeatedly, or you can search for counters to protect the board, or level 3 finishers if you want to try to go for the killing blow on your next turn. Speaking of the level 3 finisher, we're using the brand new level 3 Ichika from set 3. She heals on play, and her Climax combo is an on-attack discard 1 to gain an on-cancel effect until the end of the turn. When her damage is cancelled, shuffle up to X cards from your opponent's waiting room back into their deck, and then burn for X damage, where X equals the number of your other quintuplets characters. Since the level 2 game plan uses quite a bit of stock, this is the best finisher to use for this build since it's very stock light, only requiring hand for the Climax combo. We only run 1 copy of the Climax for this particular finisher, since we can easily get it on command using the Ichika early play, as long as it's in our waiting room. There are plenty of other really powerful Ichika cards that come out of set 3, such as her level 0 Reverser, level 0 Salvager, and level 1 Event, so be sure to give this deck a try if you want to experience what it's like to be number 1. Up next, we have the Nino waifu deck. Nino has already been terrorizing the metagame for almost a year now, and with set 3 comes even more tools to help her push her aggression to the next level. My personal favorite new Nino card to come out of set 3 is the 1/1 back row, which gives all of your other Ninos the Crush effect, allowing them to choose their trigger from the top 2 cards of the deck. Having this card on stage offers you a ton of flexibility in what you trigger and how much of the deck you want to go through, making it an extremely high value tool. Next, let's take a look at our newest Climax combo at level 1. The new Nino RR is a 6500 hand encore that gains an additional 2k on your turn, bringing her up to a pretty big 8500 offense before any external buffs. Her Climax combo gives her both on reverse salvage as well as the Crush effect, giving you even more control over your triggers and deck speed, since multiple instances of this effect can stack. Alongside the blue 1/1 Nino that everyone's pretty much already familiar with, you can use these 2 level 1 Ninos to get an early edge over your opponent. At the top end, we're running the same level 3 Nino combo from set 2, as this card is a powerful and efficient endgame finisher. Alongside her, we have a couple new cards to work with, such as the Nino early play healer and Nino 2k assist. The assist in particular is a very interesting new asset, being able to perform an Icy Tail 3 effect during the main phase. While we don't run the Climax for the 2/2 Nino in this build, it is still our standby target of choice at level 1, since she has an extremely high power level on offense for beating over large opposing threats. That being said, if the level 1 combo isn't quite getting the job done against huge boards such as Alice SAO, consider playing a couple copies of the level 2 Climax and going for a 3-2-3 Climax lineup. More than ever, Piloting Nino Waifu really feels like you're in control through all of the flexibility offered by cards such as the 1/1 back row. If you want to play a deck where you can constantly make decisions and feel good about optimizing your micro, Set 3 Nino might be the deck for you. For Miku's Set 3 cards, there is a massive emphasis on markers. The new back row characters give 500 global power to your characters that have markers, and the new finisher relies on markers as well. But before we get into all that, let's take a quick look at our level 1 combo of choice, which should be a familiar face. The combo from set 1 is still our choice for the best level 1 Miku combo. Her climax combo is very simple yet effective, letting you grab headphones events from the deck or waiting room to offer you deck speed and knowledge of the top card of the deck for future plays. Next, let's take a look at one of our back row, which is an important piece of our strategy. The new level 0 Miku gives 500 power to your other Quints characters with markers, and has 2 act abilities. The first gives you selectivity in your waiting room. By paying 1, resting herself, and putting a card from your hand underneath her as a marker, you can salvage a character from your waiting room. This ability specifies that you need to have 2 or fewer markers to salvage after paying cost, which means that you can effectively only use this effect twice. Ideally, you will want to marker a level 3 Miku climax combo underneath her as cost for one of her effects, as this allows you to use her final ability. If you're at level 3, you can pay 1 and rest her to swap into the level 3 Miku from her markers, and then the level 0 becomes a marker herself. The new Miku finisher can heal when placed on stage from hand or via this swap ability, and her climax combo mills the bottom 4 cards of the opponent's deck, similar to an Icy Tail effect. However, it only checks if there is a climax within those 4 cards, rather than checking how many climaxes there are. If there was a climax in the 4 cards milled, you get to deal burn damage to your opponent. If your board has 3 or more markers, you get to burn 1 twice. Otherwise, you just get to burn 1 once. Try to use a card such as the new level 0 Helmet Miku to give markers to characters that wouldn't normally be able to have them, such as your Brainstorm, which will allow your Miku finishers to maximize their lethal potential. While manipulating markers isn't necessarily the most exciting central mechanic compared to some of the other waifu decks, this is definitely a deck that is very fun and worth giving a try. Fourth on our list is of course Yotsuba. In set 2, Yotsuba developed a bit of a memory mechanic through cards like her level 0 on attack buff RR. However, in the movie set, this memory game plan was put into full swing, introducing level 0 utility options like an on-reverse clock yourself search, and on-reverse pay 1 ditch 1 salvage. Yotsuba has also been given new payoffs for accumulating memory in the form of 2 powerful new climax combos. Her level 1 combo lets you look at up to X cards from the top of the deck, add a Quints character from among them to your hand, and then send the rest to waiting room. Normally this effect lets you look at 3 or 4 cards, but in Yotsuba's case you can look at as many as 7 cards, depending on how much memory you have. If you have no memory, you can only look at 3, but that number increases by 1 for each card in memory you have, capping out at 4 cards in memory to look at up to 7. This gives you immense deck speed and gives you the option to constantly reset your deck if you feel the need to. Alongside the level 1 combo is another powerful new level 1. You guys might remember this effect from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime's Ramorous level 1, or Hololife's Polka level 1, among other cards. This new Yotsuba lets you loop the level 1 combo with ease, bringing it back for round 2, and then sending it to memory at the end of the turn to help contribute to memory conditions. At level 3, Yotsuba finally got the powerhouse top end that she's been waiting for. This level 3 is a healer and has 2 burn abilities, both of which require having 3 or more memory. The first is a climax combo pay 1 burn 2, and the second is a non-climax combo pay 2 ditch 2 burn 2. This gives Yotsuba's endgame a ton of flexibility based on how much resources you have. For example, if you only have 4 stock, you can go for just 2 Yotsuba combos. If you have 6 stock, you can have 2 Yotsubas both use their combos, and one of them use their off-climax burn as well. If you have 8 stock, you can go for double Yotsuba with each using both of their burn effects, and, well, I think you get the point. Yotsuba finally got the finisher that she's been really wanting for the last 2 sets, and if you've been patient like Yotsuba has been prior to the movie, you know that now is the time to finally let loose and go on the offensive. Last but not least, we have my favorite of the quintuplets, Itsuki. This set 3 build introduces a lot of new pieces, but overall has the same strategy, to get a ton of cards in your hand. In set 2, Itsuki got a Brainstorm that increases your hand size by 1, which we are still running in the set 3 build. But now in the movie set, we have an additional back row that also gives you +1 hand size, while having 2 extremely impactful abilities as well. First, you can rest her with experience 3 to give a character 2000 power until end of turn, which also gives you a costless way to proc all of Itsuki's abilities that work when you use an act effect. Her other ability is pay 1 rest herself to give a character on reverse salvage, a fantastic way to get guaranteed card advantage, especially since this deck doesn't need a ton of stock for the late game. Despite the deck not needing a lot of stock, it's still really nice to have some extra stock to utilize anyway, and a new level 1 Itsuki is the perfect card for that. Similar to the Mel level 1 from Hololive, this Itsuki gains an effect upon using an act ability that lets you reveal the top card of your deck on attack, and if it's level 1 or higher, you send it to stock. She also gets additional power just like Mel, but instead of being a flat 1500, she gains power based on the number of your Itsukis, including herself. Use her with the level 0 Marker Beater PR from set 2 to verify the top card of your deck in the mid game and get yourself some free stock. As of the movie set, we also have a new finisher to utilize. Just like the set 2 Itsuki finisher, this one requires experience 6, but instead of discarding 3 characters, we can discard any 3 cards. The combo itself deals 3 damage and then lets you eliminate any climaxes from the top 2 cards of the opponent's deck afterwards. Depending on how many climaxes you hit on this effect, it can be absolutely devastating. Apart from these, there are still more cool new Itsuki cards to take a look at, so if you want a more in-depth look at an Itsuki-based deck, stay tuned for our upcoming deck profile, where we'll be looking at another 8-door deck that's very similar to this, but has been slightly modified to combat the current metagame, and also includes a few powerful utility options from the other quintuplets. And that's going to wrap it up for our waifu deck overview. Let us know if you think there are any cool cards or strategies that we missed, and we can have some discussion about them in the comment section below. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment as well, and until next time, this has been Randall, aka Shizukatz, on the Tressa's Collectibles channel. See ya!